following is a Cable 3 sports exclusive.
UA Columbia Cable 3 Sports presents another edition of the high school football game of the week. And today, another Class A affair, and it's a League 3 meeting as the Tigers of Mamaroneck take on the Raiders of Scarsdale. And today's game on Cable 3 Sports is being brought to you by Crabtree Hyundai in New Rochelle, New York. And by UA Columbia Cablevision of Westchester. And welcome to Willard B. Dean Field on the campus of Scarsdale High School in Scarsdale, New York. A day that is just absolutely perfect for high school football. The weather is exactly what we'd hoped for. It's 70 degrees. There's just a 30% humidity. Winds are from the northwest. The skies are clear. The forecast is sunny. And the field is dry. Well, hi, everybody. I'm John Carrillo, along with Ray Karowski, as we welcome you to Dean Field for our latest edition of the high school football game of the week. We've got a battle of the big boys. They're both playing in that black and blue league, the Big Ten, league number 3. Mamaroneck a year ago, 2-7 on the season, 0-1 already this year, and 0-1 in the conference after losing to Mayapack a week ago. The Raiders of Scarsdale opened up on a high note, beating R.C. Clipchamp last week, 14-6, a non-conference game, so they'll go in at 1-0. But, Ray, when we take a look at this game on paper, it got very even through the course of the summer and the preseason workouts to come to the second week of the year.
That's right, John. Scarsdale was a great football team during the summer, but what happened, Stone went down. He was the starting quarterback with a knee operation, and I know he's suited for today's game, but I don't know if he's going to play. Pickett, last year's most valuable lineman in Section 1, also went down with a knee operation, and Holloway has moved to Minnesota. So you have 3 key proven stars on that Scarsdale team that are not playing today. So you have Dorenzo, the fullback, coming in, making the transition at playing at quarterback. So the teams are even. It's evenly matched, and I expect a very close ball game.
And, of course, on the other side, we'll have for you, for the Mamaroneck Tigers, you've got Bo Keene coming back once again as quarterback, and in the backfield with him, another experienced runner, Andy Wilson. So, indeed, it looks a little more even on paper. But as we begin the pregame show, we'll start, first of all, with a quick review of last year's action. Of course, both of these teams made a few appearances here on Cable 3, and we've got some highlights as Scarsdale made it to the Bowls, and Mamaroneck looking to turn the year around. 1986 was not a good year for Mamaroneck. Jerry Hardy's Tigers finished the season at 2-7, but many of those losses were close ball games coming late in the fourth quarter. One of those not-so-close defeats came on Cable 3 1 year ago against Scarsdale. The Raiders racked up 35 points, with Larry Holloway scoring 4 touchdowns. Though the Tigers did lead that game 3-0, the offensive line could not contain the Scarsdale defense and therefore could never get on track. Last week in Mayapack, Mamaroneck lost another heartbreaker, 26-22, when the Indians scored with less than a minute to play. The Tigers are looking for a repeat of the 1985 season when they were 7-3 and played in the Coaches Bowl. Scarsdale had a good campaign in 1986, but again came 1 win away from a championship. Last year's 30-27 overtime loss to North Rockland in the A-Bowl championship game left a bitter taste for Dick Palladino and the Raiders. But during the regular season, Scarsdale showed their fans they could win big and also take those close ones by making the big plays down the stretch. Last week, Scarsdale beat R.C. Clipchamp in an interleague contest 14-6, but questions still remain. Can the Raiders replace the likes of Holloway, Pickett, and Stone while remaining competitive week after week in their conference? For both of these teams going into the second week of the season, the answers, whether good or bad, are coming in a hurry. Incidentally, for Scarsdale, this will be their 9th appearance on Cable 3. They've won 3 and lost 5. For the Mamaroneck Tigers, they're making their 6th appearance on television. They've won 1 and they've lost 4. As we mentioned earlier, both of these teams play in what we have termed the Black and Blue League. It's the Big Ten, or League number 3. Let's show you how the teams stack up in that conference race as we move to week number 2 of this young 1987 season. The Scarsdale Raiders without a conference game so far. As a matter of fact, you can see a bunch of teams getting ready for their first games of the year. Ossining, or rather Fox Lane, White Plains, Carmel, and Horace Greeley. Mahopac with a win over Mamaroneck, tied with Lakeland, who beat Yorktown last weekend. They're at 1-0 in conference play. And of course, Mamaroneck and Yorktown at the bottom of the heap at 0-1. But the season's still early, and Coach, as we talked about it last year quite a bit, it's a big league, some big teams, it's regionally diverse, it's really a good league.
It's a Black and Blue League, there's no doubt about it. It could be just like the Pac-10 or the Big Ten in college football. You have 10 teams. Each team can play 9 games by playing a team in the league. Now, you have a true league champion, and the best team will definitely go to a bowl game, and any team under that has a good record can also go to a bowl game.
All right, let's get now to the meat of our pregame show. We're just moments away from the opening kickoff and find out about the head mentors of both of these schools. A few minutes ago, we had a chance to talk with both of the head coaches and had a chance to find out how the teams are prepared this week, getting ready for today's game. Coach, last week's loss in the last minute to Mahopac, has that toughened up this year's ball club as you struggle in this big league down the rest of the season?
Well, if anything positive can come out of it, we didn't do a great job running the ball. We made a lot of changes this week, stopping the running game, excuse me. So we did some things this week where we got to do things against Mahopac to stop their inside running game. And as far as losing it in the last minute like that, the kids know now that it's a 48-minute game, and they got to play till the final whistle goes. And as far as that goes, then yeah, we did learn something from it.
Coach, with the losses that you suffered during the preseason, and of course Larry Holloway moving to the bread of this great land of ours, have you been able to find replacements for those players, and is this team ready to play today?
Well, let me answer the last question first. We definitely are ready to play today. And the first question, you don't replace kids like Holloway and Pickett. Somebody will line up there and play their hearts out and do a fine job. But those are two of the finest players in the county, proven to be from the last 2 years. So it's very difficult to replace those kids. But yes, we're ready to play, and we've got kids who are really doing a fine job in their absence.
Well, that's how the experts, or so-called experts anyway, the guys along the sidelines, read this ball game. But let's find out how our expert sees this ball game coming up on paper in any event as we pull out Kurowski's keys and take a look at what each team will have to do to come up victorious in today's ball game. And you've got a couple for each of the schools.
That's right, John. Mamaroneck, first of all, they're going to have to run right at Scarsdale. No fancy stuff going around the end. They have to go with their solid stuff right at them. They have to be consistent with their passing game. They have to make that completion when it's needed. And lastly, they have to say to themselves that the fourth quarter is ours. Last week they lost in the fourth quarter. It has to be theirs this week. For Scarsdale, they have to control the running game. They just can't go 1-2-3 punt. They have to run that ball and be consistent. And another big key, which I think is very important, Scarsdale's going to have to contain Keene at quarterback and Wilson. Keene at quarterback can scramble. He can roll out. He can make a lot of things happen. And Wilson, on a good day, can rush for 100 yards.
Well, the field is perfectly dry. It's in great condition. And we think we've got for you a great ball game on the latest edition of the Cable 3 High School Football Game of the Week. Coming up in just a moment when we continue from Dean Field here on the campus of Scarsdale High School. Straight ahead, it's a conference test. Scarsdale meets Mamaroneck in just a moment.
Push, pull, or shove your car to Crabtree Hyundai, and we'll give you up to $1,000 towards the Hyundai of your choice. Hyundai, the car that makes sense, now makes more sense. You heard right, $1,000 for any car you can push, pull, or shove to Crabtree Hyundai. Don't get shut out. Payments starting as low as $95 a month. Unbelievable. From now till the end of the month. Call us, then come in and make a deal. Do it today. Crabtree Hyundai, 162 Main Street, New Rochelle. Call 636-8585.
A special message to all UA Columbia cable subscribers. In our continuing efforts to upgrade and track the quality of our cable system, and by the order of the New York State Cable Commission, we need to gain access to your home in order to inspect the grounding of the cable wires. So please, when a member of the UA Columbia technical staff visits your home with the proper identification, allow him to inspect our wires. It is for your protection. If you need any information, call 636-4229.
Welcome back to Dean Field. John Carrillo along with Ray Karowski for the Cable 3 High School football game of the week. Coin toss just completed. Scarsdale won the coin toss and has elected to receive. So they'll get the football to open up this ball game. And we also have out on the field, as always, our regular crew of officials sporting the shorts today. And our referee will be Ray McPartlin. The head linesman is Harry Barber. The field judge, John Bellatoni. And the umpire is Anthony Gagliardi. Those will be the gentlemen calling today's game. Scarsdale will be wearing the black and white and will be running from your left to right, while Mamaroneck in the white and black will be going from right to left. Dick Palladino, head coach of the Scarsdale Raiders, working his 4th season. He has a career record here at Scarsdale of 18 wins and 10 losses. And Jerry Hardy on the other side of the field. He will open it up again in his 4th year as the head mentor for the Mamaroneck Tigers, and he has a career record of 11 wins and 18 losses. So we expect a pretty good ball game. As we mentioned in our pregame show, it's evened up considerably, especially with the loss of Larry Holloway, who moved to Minnesota. I understand from Coach Palladino he's not playing football this year out in Minnesota. And, of course, losing Section 1 quarterback Chris Cochran from a year ago. His number retired for 1 season in honor of his all-section performance. Locally, isn't he, Mr. Cochran?
Well, Cochran is up at Cornell, and I just heard this morning that they had a game up there, and they did win. We have Papalardo from East Chester up there at Cornell, and John McNiff from New Rochelle. So you have a contingent of Westchester football players playing in the Ivy League.
All right, it's Marcel Galligani to kick it away, and this ball game is underway. It's a short kick. Will come down to Jim Kelly, number 13. Brings it up the middle of the field and is stood straight up as he gets it to the 27-yard line. That's where his forward progress is. And Mamaroneck will have it, or Scarsdale rather, will have it there 1st and 10. Let's take a look at the offensive set for the Scarsdale Raiders. That quarterback will be number 35, John DiRienzo. He is the senior. The split end, number 12, Brian Kelly. He is the senior. The tight end will be Brian Garb, and he is a senior as well. And also in the backfield, we'll have number 40, Andy Kessler, or Jason Kessler. He is just a junior. And the tailback is Abdul Steiner, number 28, and he is a senior. 1st and 10 now from the 27-yard line. DiRienzo on the first play, right up the middle, and Abdul Steiner, a 5'9" senior, number 28, rumbles ahead, close to a 1st down. He'll be a yard shy at pickup of 9. On the offensive line for the Scarsdale Raiders, Dave Bosian anchors it at the center spot. He is a senior, 6'1", 232. We've got Matt Karp and Dan Savelson at the 2 guards, and Mike Fee and Malcolm Falls will be the 2 tackles. That offensive line going 6 feet, 193 pounds as the average. 2nd and less than a 1 now for the Raiders. Ball at their own 36, and again up the middle, and there's a big hit. Jason Kessler, the fullback, got the call, and he was banged at the line of scrimmage, but was able to get ahead for a yard and does pick up the 1st down. So the first down of the day is the Raiders keep the drive alive. Defensively for the Mamaroneck Tigers, they've got the 5-man front. We've got Jim Joyce, J.P. Tomasetti, Pat Curley, Bob Francis, and Tim Dillon. And that defensive line averaging 5'11", 186 pounds. As we go next to the next page on the deep backs for the Mamaroneck Tigers, we'll get to them in just a moment. There you see them. Palasaco, Berkowitz, Morricade, Wilson, Galligani, and Ferry. 1st and 10, ball at the Scarsdale 38. Pitch comes to Abdul Steiner. Good move again. And he has gotten himself across the 45 to the 46. And, Coach, the running game for Scarsdale looks pretty good. It looks like they picked up right where they left off.
That was one of the keys for Scarsdale. They had to control that running game, and what they're doing, they're hitting the middle. You can see the Mamaroneck linebackers, they're like 5 yards off the ball. So what happens if they can get a quick dive with the fullback or the tailback going right up that middle, they're hoping that they could get that 3 or 4 yards.
Pete Bogarty is the receiver split wide to the bottom of the screen. Knopp in motion. D'Arienzo to the fullback. Jason Kessler close to midfield, but he'll have another Scarsdale first down. They'll mark it on the Scarsdale 49-yard line, and that's a pickup of 4. And the second first down for the Raiders. Look very impressive on this opening drive.
You notice that Scarsdale's putting a man in motion. Now, the guy that's playing tight slot, he's going in motion, and he's used as an extra blocker out there so he can kick out on a defensive end coming in or hit the outside cornerbacker. Right now, they're using that motion man as a blocker. They're closing down.
First and 10 from the 49-yard line of Scarsdale. The Raiders taking the opening kickoff, marching down the field. Abdul Steiner again. To the Mamaroneck side of the field now. Ball resting at the 46. It'll be second down. Pickup of 4 yards. Second and 6 for the Raiders.
The offensive linemen for Scarsdale, they're doing a tremendous job there. They're just firing out, moving people back.
Brian Kelly now in the ball game, split to the near side. Pitch comes to Steiner. Blockers in front of him, but good pursuit there by the defense. And in particular, number 85, Bob Francis of Mamaroneck, the senior 6'2 defensive tackle who came up to stop Steiner. Gain of just 1 yard.
On that last play, Keith Berry, the strong safety for Mamaroneck, he came up real strong on that pitch, and he took out 2 blockers, which enabled the defense to come in and make the tackle there behind the line of scrimmage. Really came up very quickly, and you have to be careful of that, because if you start coming up quickly, and if Scarsdale has that option pass, they're going to have that flat wide open.
They're down at 6. D'Arienzo with his first pass of the day. Lost one down the sideline. Brian Kelly on the reception, and he stepped out of bounds at the 15-yard line. 32-yard pass completion. And a pretty little pass, Coach. He just floated that right down the sideline.
It was just lofted right under there. He had enough air under that ball just to get the timing, so receiver comes down and comes up with a beautiful catch. D'Arienzo kept his poise. He was just looking. He knew where the receiver was. They just lofted it with a soft touch about 8 yards in front of him to make it an exceptional reception.
First and 10 from the Mamaroneck 15. It's Steiner again. Up the middle. Good block. Breaks away from a tackle and goes in. Touchdown run for Abdul Steiner, 5'9" senior tailback, and he's given Scarsdale the 6-0 lead.
Comes right up the middle. He bounces off one would-be tackler, goes in for the score. Now, right up the middle, it could have been I'm not sure, but you know, if we can see that again, it was what you call the bend trap or the buck trap from the old single wing play, where you have the guard pulling, trapping, and then the back is just running to off tackle, cuts, goes up the middle.
And the extra point is good.
Let's go, Marcus!
Mike Cochran drills it over the goalpost, and with 7:10 left to go in this first quarter, Scarsdale leads Mamaroneck by a score of 7-0.
Boy, Scarsdale did it all with the power of the running game.
That really was a nice drive.
The linemen were really blocking well. They're firing out, and I always contend that, you know, when you're playing a game, the offensive line, defensive line, you try to tell, you know, your offense, you have to beat the defense off the ball. Vice versa, the defense has to beat the offensive line off the ball. There was a Donnybrook in there. They got some good hauls, good running by Steiner, marching all the way down. Lorenzo threw that pass just when you needed it, and it just worked exactly the way he wanted it to. Good reception. They go in and score, and it's 7-0.
You know, we've talked a lot about the fact that Larry Holloway no longer on the Scarsdale Ball Club. You put a number 1 on that jersey out there that's got 28, and you may say Larry Holloway is back. You know, Coach Palladino mentioned in the pregame show, he said, you know, it's tough to replace kids of that caliber. He said, we'll have people in those positions. Whether they can play like that remains to be seen, and I'm sure he's got to be very pleased with the running of Abdul Steiner.
Well, Holloway was the 3rd spring All-State offensive back last year, you know, for returning. Steiner's rising to the occasion. He's doing a great job. He's running the ball. You know, you can't think about, you know, people that you have lost through injury, moving, or whatever. You just have to go out and do the best job you possibly can.
So Mamaroneck will have it for the first time. This is Andy Wilson from his own 5. Able to turn the corner. He's going to get a good gain out of this one. Finally thrown out of bounds across the 40-yard line. So Andy Wilson, one of those returning vets for Jerry Hardy and his Tigers, gets the Tigers in pretty good shape. 1st and 10 from the 41. We'll take a look now at the offensive set of the Mamaroneck Tigers. As we mentioned, Bo Keene is the quarterback. He's a senior, standing 6 feet, 198 pounds. Andy Wilson will be in the backfield with him. He's a senior as well, 5'8". And the fullback will be John Manasof. He is a senior at 5'8" as well. The wide receiver will be Scott Spires, number 88, along with Ken Colabella on the other side, another senior, and the tight end, number 44, is Tim Dillon. 1st and 10. Bo Keene brings the club up from his own 41-yard line. Pretty good field position to start. And Keene will go right to work. Sideline route, and it's incomplete. Overthrew Ken Colabella on an out pattern towards the far sidelines, and it'll bring up a 2nd down and 10. On the offensive line for the Mamaroneck Tigers, Greg Moricade anchors it at the center spot. You've got Jim Joyce and Pat Curley as the 2 guards, and the 2 tackles, J.P. Tomasetti and Ted Haley. And that offensive line averaging 5'11", 190 pounds. 2nd and 10. Colabella again split to the near side. Spires to the top, and the pitch will go to Andy Wilson. Gets a block in front, but is only able to get it back to the 40-yard line. He loses a yard, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and 11. Defensively for the Scarsdale Raiders, they will also have the 5-man front. Josh Silverman, great player, will be at the guard, middle guard. He is a senior. Greg Calley and Steve Henkind are the 2 tackles. Jeff Kinney and Brian Garp will be the 2 defensive ends. And the defensive backfield for the Scarsdale Raiders at the linebackers, John DiRienzo and Ricky Palladino, the coach's son. We've got Vinny Lambert, Greg Knopp, Andrew Brennan, and Brian Kelly as the deep men. And Mr. King will go nowhere. Jeff Kenny, number 49, coming across to make the sack all the way back to the 27-yard line.
Jeff Keeney right here. He's the anchor to this Scarsdale defense. He just rushes right in there. Good pursuit, good hands, good strength. Comes down and makes the tackle. Like I said, he's the anchor of that defense. He's an excellent student in class. He has a 3.1 average. His father was a Yale football player, and he's just playing out there like a mad dog in a meat market.
Marcel Galligani now in to punt it away on 4th down. Nice high spiral. Beautiful kick. Knopp will take it at his own 35, right up the middle of the field. And it'll be brought down in Mamaroneck territory at the 48-yard line on the stop. Bob Francis, number 85, to make the tackle, and it'll be 1st and 10 again for the Scarsdale Raiders. Take a look at the scoring summary of the first touchdown of the day, coming at 7:10. A nice drive, 8 plays and 72 yards, with Abdul Steiner finishing up on a 15-yard run. The kick was good, and the Raiders lead by, or Raiders lead, I should say, 7-0. Second possession for Scarsdale. That's Knopp in motion. And the give is to the big fullback, number 40, Jason Kessler, 5'10", 158 pounds, just a junior. And he's able to get 1 yard.
You know, it's interesting to note that both teams use the 5-front defense. They'll have a nose man over the center. They'll have 4 linebackers, outside linebackers. They'll have 3 deep. The defenses are identical. And if you practice during the week against your own defense and then you set up Mamaroneck's defense, like let's say your Scarsdale, it's like you're running against your own defense, so you really know where to block.
Snap again in motion. This is Abdul Steiner. Very difficult to bring down. He'll just slide across prospective tacklers, and he gets himself a pickup of 1 yard. And it's going to bring up a 3rd down and 8 for Scarsdales. The Mamaroneck defense stiffens just a little bit. But on that last drive, they had done exactly the same thing here.
Exactly, John. Mamaroneck, when they're making the tackles, they're reaching out with their arms. They're making arm tackles. They're going to have to really set, you know, maybe a yard or 2 before the back gets to them and really try to explode through the runner instead of just reaching. They're not getting a good shot at that, the ball carrier from Scarsdale.
Well, we've got a timeout on the field as the offense not quite set, so Dick Palladino takes a timeout. That's the Raiders' first. They'll have 2 more left in this first half, and with 4:11 remaining to play in the first quarter, it's Scarsdale nothing, and Scarsdale 7 and Mamaroneck nothing. Okay, have opportunity. We can show you what else is going on around here in Section 1, as we've got action in all 3 classes, including the parochial and the private schools. In Class A today, according to the latest Extra Points Top 5, number 1 Roosevelt will be in action. They'll be playing host to the Arlington Admirals. Number 3 North Rockland is at Clarkstown North. The Raiders with a 7-6 win over Arlington a week ago. Yorktown is at number 4 White Plains as the Tigers open up their season under brand new head coach. And number 5 Ossining is at Carmel. New Rochelle will be at Spring Valley. Mount Vernon at Suffern. And tonight at Memorial Field at 7:30, it'll be St. Anthony's against Iona Prep. Over in Class B this afternoon around Section 1, Nyack is at number 1 Rye. The Garnets now with the longest active winning streak in Section 1 at 21 in a row. Number 2 Byram Hills is at Pelham. Pelicans open up with new head coach Charlie Lightsey. Number 3 Harrison will be at Tappan Zee. Number 4 Portchester at Woodlands. Fox Lane is at number 5 John Jay. The Indians, who had their 26-game streak stopped last week at Ossining, taking on their 2nd straight A school, this time the Foxes. Edgemont will be at Westlake. Ardsley is at Pearl River. And Eastchester at Nanuet. So we'll take a look at Class C a little later on in today's ball game, as high school football season in full swing now around Westchester, New York, and the country as a whole. 3rd down and 7 for the Raiders. Greg Knopp in motion. Durienzo on a controlled rollout. Good protection. Throws to the sidelines, incomplete. Ball batted away by number 70, Greg Moricade. Inside linebacker, 5'10 junior. Moricade makes the play, and it'll bring up a 4th down.
John, I was just watching Scarsdale coming out of the huddle. The first man out of that huddle is number 51, Dave Boshin. He's very strong, a senior, 6'1", 232 pounds. He's got excellent technique, quick feet when he's blocking. He's an honor student with a 3.7 average, and he'll be going to the Ivy League playing football there. I really like this ball player. He is really tough. He's consistent and strong in there on that offensive line.
Jeff Kenny does a nice job handling the low snap. It's an end-over-end kick, and this one will go out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Number 42 was the man down there who knocked it out of bounds. And Mamaroneck's in a hole. They'll have it 1st and 10 from their own 1.
There, Matt proved it right there. The difference between a good ball player and a great ball player is a little extra hustle. And that extra hustle got him down that field, and he tipped that ball just before it went into the end zone. You have to really congratulate that man on hustle. And every coach emphasizes to his team all the time, go out there and hustle, 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 and good things will happen. And there was a good example right there.
So Bo Keene with his back right up against the goal line. Looked like a ball loose on the turf. And Scarsdale makes the play, but if you can get any closer to that goal line, Tigers just did. Coach, it looked like Keene had a little trouble getting the ball off to Andy Wilson.
Yeah, it looks like there was a little slow of a start in the offensive backfield, and you really have to maybe move that offensive back up an extra yard closer to the line so that you can really shoot right through there. But the defense of Scarsdale, they thought they had a safety right there. But once that ball breaks that plane, it comes in fair territory. It looks like it's on about the 2-inch line.
Again, right up the middle, and the Scarsdale defense right there again. This time Keene wasn't going to take any chances. He took that one himself. Got 1 yard up to the 2. And Coach, that's the first offensive yard the Tigers have gotten, and we're getting down 2.5 left in the first quarter.
This is tough, very tough for Mamaroneck, because it's like, you know, working your way out of a hole. You're in a 20-foot